The sun hung low, turning the sky into molten gold. Dust clung to everything: the road, the wagon, the weary woman kneeling beside a broken wheel. Her little girl sat nearby, holding a worn-out doll with one arm missing. They hadn't eaten since sunrise. The mother's hands trembled as she tried to fix the wheel again. Every time it slipped from her grasp, she'd whisper, "Just a little more, baby. We'll be fine." But even she didn't believe her own words anymore. From far down the road, a sound grew, the rhythmic beat of hooves. Slow and steady. A man appeared, tall on his horse, shadows stretching long behind him. A cowboy, silent, with eyes hidden beneath the brim of his hat. He stopped beside them, said nothing. The woman stood, brushing the dirt from her skirt. "We don't want trouble," she said quickly. The man just looked at her, then at the girl. The child met his gaze, small, frail, yet unafraid. "Mama," she whispered, tugging her mother's dress. "He looks kind." The cowboy dismounted slowly, every motion deliberate. He knelt near the wagon, inspecting the wheel, the tracks, the broken spokes. Still silent. Finally he spoke, his voice low, rough as sand. "Where you headed?" The woman swallowed. "West, to the next town. My husband's, he's gone." She looked away. "We just need a ride." The cowboy studied her for a long time. Then, without a word, he turned back to his horse and tied the reins tighter. The silence was heavy. The little girl looked between them, eyes full of something that was half fear, half understanding. "Sir," she said softly, "can you take her instead of me?" Her mother froze. "Annie, what are you?" The girl's voice trembled, but she didn't look away. "Mama can't walk no more. She hasn't eaten. You can take her, please. I'll stay." The cowboy said nothing. He just stared, the muscle in his jaw tightening. Then he stood, dusted off his gloves, and turned toward the horizon. The woman fell to her knees. "Please," she cried, "we'll die out here." He didn't answer. He just reached for the saddlebag on his horse and pulled something out, a canteen, a loaf of dry bread, and a folded map. He dropped them in the dirt beside her. Then he walked toward the little girl and stopped right in front of her. She looked up, eyes shining with tears she refused to shed. For a moment, neither spoke. Then the cowboy knelt down and brushed a speck of dust off her doll's face. "Keep her close," he said, and without another word, he climbed back onto his horse and rode away into the burning red sky. The woman clutched the bread in one hand and her daughter in the other, staring after him until the horizon swallowed his figure whole. But the little girl whispered something no one heard. "He'll come back." The night fell cold and fast. The desert wind howled through the broken wagon, making the boards creak like old bones. The mother held Annie close beneath a torn blanket, watching the stars appear one by one. Her hands shook, not from the chill, but from fear. The bread the cowboy had left was almost gone. The water, too. Every sound in the darkness made her flinch, half expecting wolves, half hoping for the sound of hooves again. But hours passed. Nothing came. She whispered, "Sleep, baby. He's not coming back." Annie didn't answer. She just stared at the road where he'd vanished, eyes wide open, as if waiting for the world to give her a reason to believe. By dawn, the mother couldn't walk anymore. Her breath was shallow, her skin pale beneath the rising sun. Annie sat beside her, clutching the doll to her chest, and whispered, "It's okay, Mama. I'll go find him." "Annie, no." But the little girl was already standing, her small figure walking down the endless stretch of road. Barefoot, determined, she followed the hoof prints. One step, then another. The desert burned beneath her feet, but she didn't stop. Hours turned into a blur until she saw it. A horse, tethered near a shallow stream, and beside it the cowboy. He was sitting on a rock, cleaning his revolver, head bowed like a man haunted by ghosts. When he saw her, his eyes widened, but he didn't speak. "You left us," she said simply. The cowboy's throat tightened. "You shouldn't be here." "My mama's sick. Please. You said nothing before. Can you say something now?" Her voice cracked, small but brave. The cowboy looked away. There's a town 3 days west. You won't make it on foot. Then take her. His jaw clenched. The same words. The same plea. But this time, they cut deeper. Little one, he began, but the words caught in his chest. She took a step closer. You didn't leave 'cause you didn't care. You left 'cause you were scared. That made him look up. Her eyes were the same color as the dust, soft brown, honest, too old for her age. How'd you know that? He asked quietly. She smiled a little. My mama says scared men talk less. You didn't say nothing. That means you got too many words stuck inside. The cowboy exhaled, long and heavy. He holstered his revolver, stood up, and stared at the horizon where the sun burned white. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then finally, get on the horse. The ride back was silent. The cowboy rode steady, Annie in front of him, clutching her doll. When they reached the wagon, the woman was lying still, her face turned toward the light. Ma! Annie whispered, jumping down. The woman stirred weakly, eyes fluttering open. You came back. The cowboy knelt beside her, poured the last of his water into her hands, and said, We're going to the town. Hold on. Her lips curved faintly. Why'd you come back? He looked at her. 'Cause she asked. The woman's breath trembled, a soft laugh escaping her. You don't even know us. The cowboy looked at the girl, then back at her. Used to have one just like her. My little girl. She didn't make it past winter. The woman's eyes filled. I'm sorry. He shook his head. Don't be. Just hold on. He fixed the wagon wheel himself that time. Quick, precise, like a man who'd done it 1,000 times. Then he lifted the mother onto the horse, the girl beside her, and tied the reins to his belt as he walked. Step after step, dragging the wagon to the sand, through the wind, through the rising sun. He didn't stop. Not once. The little girl whispered to her mother, See, Mama? I told you he'd come back. By the time they reached the town, the sky was streaked with violet. The cowboy carried the woman inside the doctor's hut, barely breathing himself. The doctor rushed to work. Annie stood in the doorway, holding the doll tight. Hours passed. Then, finally, the doctor stepped out, wiping his hands. She'll live, he said. Annie gasped and hugged him. The cowboy just nodded, relief softening the lines of his face. You can rest now, mister, Annie said. We'll be okay. He looked down at her, dusty boots, tired eyes, doll clutched like a heart, and something broke inside him. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small silver locket, and placed it in her palm. My little girl's name was Sarah, he said quietly. You remind me of her. Annie opened the locket. Inside was a tiny faded photo of a man, a woman, and a child with pigtails, smiling under the same sun. She was your little girl, Annie whispered. He nodded. Was. Tears filled her eyes. Then maybe now you got to again. For a moment, he couldn't speak. He just placed his hat on her head, turned, and walked out into the fading light. The next morning, Annie woke to find a note by her bedside. Ride west when you're strong enough. There's a farm out there with a red gate. Ask for coal. It's yours now. For both of you. She ran outside, the wind in her hair, but the cowboy was already gone, just a thin trail of dust disappearing into the horizon. Her mother stepped beside her, weak but smiling. Where'd he go? Annie looked toward the sun and whispered, He took us both, Mama.